our product is very unique. It's a unique ingredient because it is actually making your current immune system more powerful. So like I always tell people, it's stronger, faster, and smarter, and it gets these cells much more active. And we're taking the largest population of immune cells you have in your system and engaging them. So we think it's one of the best immune products because there isn't anything else on the market like that. Now we've proven it with, trained immunity that we're taking these cells and making them much more effective.
Welcome everyone to the Healthy Habit Podcast, episode number 239. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of the Medical Center here, Healthy Habit Medical Center, located right inside Healthy Habit Health Foods. Today we're talking with Matt Steiner, representing Immune Health Basics. We're going to be covering Wellmune, beta-glucans, and much more. Really important episode for the immune system. Matt Steiner has worked in the natural products industry as a sales and marketing executive for over 30 years. He's been a guest on numerous radio and talk shows just like this one, and given lectures to a variety of audiences within the trade industry. Matt obtained a Bachelor of Science degree from the Carlson Business School of Management from the University of Minnesota. He currently serves as Vice President of the Consumer Division for Immune Health Basics, a company dedicated to improving immune health, which we'll be covering that today and much more, talking about new research that Matt's discovered and how this doesn't just apply to cold and flu season, but also on a preventative basis. You'll want to pay attention to this one. Welcome back, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. It's great to be here.
Let's dive right in, all the way from Minnesota. Stan, the demo man, actually set this one up, so you'll folks want to go talk to Stan, the demo man. He's here Tuesdays through Saturdays at Healthy Habit Health Foods, and he'll have all these products available for discussion. He's always passing out literature and much more. So go see Stan, the demo man, for all things immune health basics. Let's start it off with, what is Wellmune, the active ingredient in immune health basics, Matt?
Well, Wellmune is a beta-glucan product, and beta-glucan is really derived from a few different, organisms. One of them is mushrooms, one of them is cereal products, and one of them is yeast. And if you look at it, the cereal products have a different molecular structure. It's 1,3,1,4 molecular structure. So cereals like oats and barleys, and there's companies out there that promote it, does great for lowering your cholesterol, but does very little for the immune system. Now, mushrooms and yeast have this molecular structure, 1,3,1,6 molecular structure. Mushrooms only contain about 5 to 7% of that molecular chain, where yeast is about 70 to 80 to 90%. Ours is in the 80s. And if you look at it, though, and as I've always told people, and you've got to look at the research, because beta-glucan is really derived from yeast. A lot of companies will use byproducts like yeast in the beta-glucan product, but it really doesn't do you much good because you really have to purify it. But beta-glucan is part of the intercellular structure. And we've got all kinds of essays, and we've actually been published in Nature and so forth, that even slight variances in the way you produce it, the strain, and everything else will dramatically affect it. So it's a beta-glucan product. It primes your innate immune cells naturally to, make it much more effective and efficient.
That's a great intro and overview there. Beta-glucans, basically they comprise a group of beta-D-glucose polysaccharides. It's a mouthful, naturally occurring in the cell walls of cereals, like you said, bacteria, fungi, with significant differing physiochemical properties depending on where they're coming from, exactly what food source. But the summary there is that they're super important for the immune system. They even protect against multiple types of cancers. We're not giving any medical advice here. We're just trying to put this all on your radar and show you what's available in the natural world, right, Matt?
Exactly. It's a great product. We've done a lot of clinical studies, on over 2,300 individuals, and that includes kids, adults, and elderly. All the studies that we've done are, very robust studies, double-blinded, placebo. We've looked at upper respiratory symptoms, colds and flus. We've looked at a variety of physical stress, psychological stress. We've done athletes. We've done marathons. We've done, as I think you've been mentioned before, our product has shown to actually balance your immune system as well. So we always got some, testimonials that our product helps with like COPD, asthma, different types of allergies. So we did a ragweed study, a number of years ago, had great results where we actually decreased allergy symptoms, I know symptoms, severity, and duration, just for the fact that it helps balance your immune system. And part of that is, if you look at ragweed, certain cells increase. When certain cells increase, they cause havoc on your immune system. It's an autoimmune type disease. And we actually have shown with our studies that we actually suppress IgE levels. And by suppressing IgE levels, you decrease, I know symptoms and, like things against allergies. So it's great for, certain types of autoimmune challenges as well. So it's a great product. Like I said, we naturally take your immune system and we just basically make it much more effective and efficient.
To work better, basically, to work better,
Exactly.
to regulate it, to bring it to homeostasis. You even mentioned
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune diseases there, where the immune system runs amok, right? And
Exactly.
so bringing that back into balance potentially as well. So why is that important to maintain a strong, healthy immune system all year, not just when we're coming to the cooler months, fall, winter, etc.? How does that work also? How does it work when someone has a strong immune system?
Yeah.
What's happening there?
Well, there's a number of, I mentioned just before the show here, and again, I get a variety of different subscriptions of magazines, articles, and so forth. And the last one it just got it yesterday. It's a September issue of 2025. It was both the Nutraceutical World, and it talked about frontiers in immune function. So it talks about, how immunity is so important to your system, and it talks about longevity. And the main point of this article is that immune products are just not for colds and flus.
Mm,
It's really longevity, bouncing back, from different pathogenic challenges because nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants downtime and so forth. So the gist of the whole article talks about that even, you look at younger people, the generation, X's and Y's and so forth, and even baby boomers like me, that really that if you're looking at longevity, one of the best things you can do is strengthen your immune system. And even there was a quote in here from a gentleman. He said, if you had to take one thing, and I mentioned this before, if you had to take one supplement, you're only limited to one supplement, you would take something that would strengthen your immune system. And they talk about this, and there's different articles in here too. There's another article I was reading that talks about researchers discover two health matrix that can lower the risk of death by 42%. And it's brain health and it's immune health. And if you look at it, they talk about you want to keep your brain and you want to keep your immune system as young as possible.
yeah.
But, as in this world, you've got all kinds of different pathogenic challenges out there. If you look at your immune system, it's constantly being suppressed, whether you smoke, you drink, you diet, you exercise, all these types of things, medications, or if you suddenly get sick or those types of things. So, and again, things you can't avoid, like pollution and those types of things. But, one of the things you can never avoid is age. And as
Right.
you age, your immune system doesn't function as well. So that's why these articles are so important because they talk about, if you want to live a long life, you got to think about certain things that you can do. And obviously exercise and diet is part of that, but
Right.
immune function is a part of that. So these articles are talking about that. Let's just not think of immunity as, cold and flu season. Let's think of it as far as living longer. And that's where I think our product really fits in because it's something that is natural. It just takes your immune system, your current immune cells, and just makes them much more effective and efficient.
That's beautiful, my friend. And you did mention it kind of in the beginning there when we broke down Wellmune, the active ingredient in Immune Health Basics.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many exactly beta glucan different ones are in Immune Health Basics? One, two, or three? How many different types?
Well, there's just if you look at, like I said, there's different types of beta glucans out there. You've got yeast, fungal, and cereals. Ours is derived from yeast. It's a proprietary strain that we derive from yeast. So it's basically yeast beta glucan. It's the
So
one that
there's
has the most
one type in there.
concentration.
There's one type of beta glucan in there.
Correct. The yeast is
Gotcha.
what we are
Gotcha.
derived from. So, but again, as I tell people, look at the research done in the bottle of the ingredient in the bottle, because a lot of people will put yeast in their product, but it's a very crude yeast cell.
Got
It
it.
has manoprotein. Think of it as a ball. You've got the exterior hard coating of it, which is the manoproteins and so forth. But we have to, and that's yeast. But we have to purify it, and we strip that all down, because the intercellular structure is where you find the beta glucan, and that's what we do. And again, we strip it down. So because beta glucans picked up in your virus patch, was the area after your small intestines, and again, if it's yeast, the virus patch won't pick it up. Where if it's beta glucan, the M cells pick it up,
Wow.
bring it through your lymphatic system, and then basically gobble it. The macrophage, then it hands it off to the macrophage cell. The macrophage cell will basically gobble it up and release these soluble fragments, beta glucan, that are picked up by neutrophil cells.
Wow. So there you go. You kind of hit two birds with one stone there. You
Yep.
told us about there's one specific type of beta glucan in the Immune Health Basics
Mm-hmm.
products derived from yeast, but very specifically formulated. And then you hit on
Right.
the mechanism of action, what exactly it's doing at the level of the
Mm-hmm.
Peyer's patches of the immune system,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. So tell us about the new research on trained immunity
Sure.
specifically.
This is something that just
go
has
deep on
been
that.
developed in the last year, and we believe it's the only ingredient in the world that has proven this out in studies. So, trained immunity, basically, if you look at your immune system, you have really two sides of your immune system. You have your innate part of your immune system, which is made of macrophage cells, neutrophils, natural killer cells, and then basically you have your adaptive part of your immune system, typically B and T cells, plus obviously a lot more cells than that. But basically, what happens is your innate part of your immune system is what you're born with. So you have instant immunity to different types of pathogenic challenge. Your acquired is what you learn over time, and your immune system will remember that. So I always give the analogy of if you get a flu shot every year, basically what you're doing is you're getting a non-active form of that flu strain. Again, it's only one strain, and again, if you look at different types of flu, it changes over time and so forth, like COVID did and so forth. But what basically do is if you get a flu shot, then what happens, your system will remember that. And then when you come in contact with it, it's much more quicker to respond to that pathogenic challenge, because the quicker you can respond to that challenge, the better off you're going to be of not coming down with it. And that's what's real important with this new research, is that we have shown in studies that our product, our ingredient Wellmune, trains certain innate immune cells, and it's through cellular signaling. It's kind of like a bookmark, a recipe that'll basically get these innate immune cells much more active. It probably increases it by anywhere from 2 to maybe 5% or times, is getting these cells more active to kill it, because that's so important, because a lot of times you come down with challenges because you don't have the immune army to fight it, you don't have the immune cells there, or they're just not quick enough to respond. So this is just new research. Again, it's very unique to our product, but again, it's extremely, what I want to tell people, it's extremely safe. We're just taking your current immune system, your macrophage, neutrophils, and natural killer cells, and make them much more effective to kill different pathogenic challenges. And that's why all of our research we've done on all these different, 2,300 people have very positive results, because we're getting your immune system to function much more effective and efficient. So you don't come down with these pathogenic challenges. And that's really important for lifetime diseases. Again, not that we're, talking, going to cure cancer or anything, but a lot of, again, people always say, I'm cancer free. Nobody's ever cancer free. We all have cancer cells in us. You want to put your cancer in remission as long as possible. But when you can have a healthy, strong immune function, you're going to be better off not coming down with, heart disease and different types of cancers and so forth.
Right.
And try to live a long and healthy life.
So I'm going to read a quick snippet here, like kind of to summarize Wellmune, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay, on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Just like an overview, if I'm getting all this correctly. Wellmune, it's a proprietary yeast-derived beta-glucan, specifically beta-1316 glucan, supports immune health by directly engaging with the white blood cells, which is the body's first line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, primes the immune system without overstimulating it, kind of brings it to where it needs to be. And then this can even help maintain mental clarity in some cases,
Yep.
energy, vitality. I'm picking up research here. It's non-allergenic, hypoallergenic, some people call it,
Mm-hmm.
gluten-free, vegan, non-GMO ingredient.
Yep.
That sound right?
That is exactly right. And, one thing or a couple things that, what you mentioned as well is, again, we're taking your current immune cells. So it's a natural process and just making them much more effective.
Got it.
But we're also taking one of the largest populations of immune cells. One of the main mechanisms of our product are neutrophil cells. And neutrophil cells account for about 50 to 70% of all your white blood cells. And again, an average, males and females have different levels of white blood cells, but let's say it's around 40 trillion. And we have shown through our studies that we actually, through phagocytosis studies and so forth, we have actually activated at least half of those cells. So if, say you got 40 trillion cells, you just got, just for easy math, you've got 20, you've got about 20 trillion of neutrophil cells. We have actually shown that our product engages about 10 trillion neutrophil cells. So we're taking one of the largest army of cells, which is typically neutrophil cells, are the first cells to any pathogenic challenge, to get them much more active to kill that pathogenic challenge. And the last thing I think, just to talk about what you mentioned is just the safety aspect of it. Again,
Okay.
we have done numerous safety studies. If you look at it, and again, we actually had a product similar to this that we took through drug stages. We've done a lot of phase 1 studies and so forth. But if you look at it, it really doesn't have any counterindications to any type of supplements you're taking or any type of medical treatments you're going through. We don't increase the number of cells you have, which is bad, like I know echinacea and so forth does, because you don't want to do that over time. We just take your current immune cells, make them much more effective. But if there's no challenge there, then it goes back into the rest of the state. And again, there's no counterindications. We've been doing this for 30 plus years, and again, we keep very good records and so forth. No counterindications to any type of supplements or treatments out there that you're going through at all. It's going to help you in the long run.
How did you first hear of Wellmune, Matt, and the world of beta glucans, and when did that first hit your radar where you decided, I want to get involved with this? This is really promising.
Yeah. I was actually worked for the company that discovered the mechanism. I mean, if you looked at it,
Wow.
even back then, 25 years ago, nobody knew how beta glucan worked. And we
Right.
discovered it through a process that we were working with through a collaboration we had with a university. And we carried that collaboration and we discovered the mechanisms of beta glucan. And then since then, we've done all kinds of studies on it and so forth. So I've been involved with it day one. We discovered the mechanism of how it actually works, did most of the studies. It's now the portfolio is owned by a different company and they're carrying out the studies and so forth. But I've been in it since day one. And like I said, I've been on it and again, we've got all kinds of great testimonials, but I've been using it for 30 years. And I can't even think of the last time I had a cold. And I think I even mentioned it to you one time. I got COVID once about a year and a half ago, and I didn't have any symptoms. The only reason why I tested myself is because I gave a friend of mine a ride. We were in the car for 3 hours. He tested positive for it, and I said, well, I should test myself. And I would have never tested myself because I had zero symptoms. I didn't have a runny nose, no headaches or
Yeah.
anything like that. But, I did come down with it. I quarantined myself. But we have great testimonials from people that have been using it for a long time and they swear by it. And I'm not that way as well. I mean, like I said, I can't even think of the last time I had a cold. I live a very healthy life. I have no really complications to anything. And, knock on wood, it's going to continue that.
Amazing. So you did already cover the safety aspect and interactions with
Correct.
other supplements. That was on the radar
Mhm.
here. I was going to ask about that. So it seems to be safe, well tolerated, low risk of side effects. You never know when someone takes a new supplement. Some people,
Yeah,
they just get an upset
they
stomach.
do.
Like that's hard to
Yeah,
predict with any supplement, right? So, but overall, it appears to be safe and well tolerated by most, right?
it is. The only time I would there, in one instance throughout this 30 years, there was a person that called and they were going through an organ transplant, and we have no research on that. So I said, it's best to talk to your doctor about that. But
Yeah.
as far as safety aspects, it's completely safe to take. There's really no side effects to it. Even like I said, we were going through cancer studies. There's no, adverse reaction to cancer and those types of things. It may help. Again, I think really, if you look at it too, and I was reading last night as well, and they're talking about the cold and flu season, and they always measure our cold and flu season based on like Australia, because their cold and flu season is typically starts in May and goes through about August.
Mm.
So they're assuming, and I just read an article, and they're talking about it's going to be, same as it was last year, pretty intense cold and flu season. So one thing about our product as well is, I mean, we try to get people to take it prophylactic, so they don't come down with the colds and flus and stuff. But you can still take it when you come down with something. It'll cut the duration of it and symptoms and so forth, because it only takes about a day to get into your system. And once it's in your system, especially with the trained immunity, they have shown with the trained immunity, once the cells receive the Wellmune of beta glucan, it only takes hours for it to remember it to create that, cellular signal and that bookmark. So it gets these cells, much more active.
Fascinating. Folks, episode 239 here. We're talking with Matt Steiner representing Immune Health Basics, and we've broken down new research on trained immunity, whether or not a product like this is safe with other supplements, in general, if it's safe, and why it's important to maintain a strong immune system. How does that even work when someone has a strong immune system? We talked about how Matt first was introduced to Wellmune all the way from the beginning.
Yes.
And we even broke down the mechanisms of action. So thank you for covering all this so far, Matt. And you mentioned earlier autoimmune disorders. How would it apply in that case? Someone, let's say, Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism, or autoimmune Hashimoto's, or different types of autoimmune diseases. How would you approach it in that case?
Yeah, and again, we haven't done those types of studies. We've done, one autoimmune study, but we have shown that our product helps balance your immune system. It keeps certain cells at bay. If you have those types of challenges, I would just try, with trying it for a week or so and seeing if it gets better. Because again, we don't have any scientific data on it, but we also, like I said, we have shown with certain types of immune challenges, like ragweed, it actually has a huge benefit because it balances your immune system. It suppresses certain cells that don't overreact, that cause, the autoimmune to run rampant and so forth. So I would just try to start slow with it and see what, if it's going to have any benefits, and just go from there.
Got it. And that's perfect. So then what would be like the take home here recap? Let's say someone's listening to it. They don't currently have a cold or flu. They're shopping here in Healthy
Sure.
Habit, listening to us on the speakers here, and they're always interested in the immune system.
Yep.
They might have heard of vitamin C,
Mm-hmm.
vitamin D, zinc, selenium, black seed oil. These are all different things
Yeah.
people hear about with COVID in the immune system. But
Yep.
who should take it then? How would you recap
Well,
that? What's the take home there? Who needs to take
the
it?
takeaway is our product is very unique. It's a unique ingredient because it is actually making your current immune system more powerful. So, like I always tell people, it's stronger, faster, and smarter, and it gets these cells much more active. And we're taking the largest population of immune cells you have in your system and engaging them. So we think it's one of the best immune products because there isn't anything else on the market like that. Now we've proven it with, trained immunity, that we're taking these cells and making them much more effective. But, the takeaway message is immune function really, if you think about it, it really relates to longevity. And everybody wants to live longer. I want to live longer. You want to live longer. We all want to live longer. And if you can naturally strengthen your immune system, it's going to protect you from the cold and flus of the world here, but it's also going to have benefit of longevity, making sure that you live longer so you don't come out with or come down with these chronic illnesses and so forth. So again, it's a great product because we're naturally strengthening your immune system. We're not adding any artificial ingredients and so forth. This is actually how your body works. We're just making it much more effective and efficient. So again, let's try to think about immunity as far as longevity and living longer and living a better life.
And I'll give the links before we wrap up this interview in a couple minutes here. I'll give the links to go to and to learn more, read about their product in detail online. You can even order online if you can't get to the store for whatever reason. But tell us real quick, we'll finish on the recommended dose. I know there's different
Sure.
dosing here, different colored bottles. You have a green one, a red one, and a blue one, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us about the dosing. How do we approach that?
Sure. What we recommend on the dosage is 1 milligram per pound. So all of our human studies on adults were done with 250 milligrams. Our best-selling product is the 500 milligram, which is the green bottle, but 250 milligrams is a good maintenance dose that people can take every single day. That's what our studies indicate. And it's the same thing with kids. We have a 25 milligram product for kids. And again, we've done kids studies. We look at our research. We've done numerous kid studies as well. It works as far as decreasing upper respiratory symptoms, sick days, and so forth. It's 250 milligrams per day. The 500 milligram is our best-selling product. You get a little bit better boost taking a 500, but you're not like doubling the benefit. So it's if you look at a price point of it, the 500 is a great deal because the monthly cost is the same as the 250. So our 500 is the best-selling product, but it's 1 milligram per pound of body weight, 250 for an average.
Got it. Immunehealthbasics.com, folks. Immunehealthbasics all together.com, and then there you can check out their whole lineup here. They even have a children's immune product as a chewable. They have everything you need there. Again, Matt was saying their best seller, their most popular one is the 500 milligram, the
Correct.
ultra strength immunity. But they do have one for everyday challenges, the 250 milligram, and even one for 125 milligram, like a daily immune health formula as well. So Stan, the demo man here, or one of our amazing staff here at Healthy Habit, can help you guys at least get started or have a better idea of where to start. So what would you want to leave us with, my friend? You knocked it out of the ballpark.
This is a great, unique product. It strengthens. It's been proven. You've got all kinds of clinical studies that support it. I don't want to call it the fountain of youth, but think of it as an everyday supplement. Take it to hopefully someday we'll all live a little bit longer and have a healthy immune function. So that's what I can leave you with.
Well, it makes sense. If we're able to protect our frontline defenders of our health, you're going to probably feel better overall, right? So
exactly.
And enjoy less,
and just feel better.
Yeah, better energy, enjoying less sick days at work, and being able to be around more for your family. So thank you, Matt, for your time.
Sounds
Always
great.
appreciate you,
it.
my
Thank
good
you
man.
again.